In a prosperous town lived a couple named Benjamin and Rebecca. They were the envy of many. Benjamin, in his late 30s, was a charismatic and hard-working man. Rebecca, in her early 30s, was beautiful, wise, and supportive. Together, they built an empire of wealth and success. Their mansion stood as a testament to their love and perseverance. Yet, for all their riches, their hearts yearned for a child. For 6 years, they prayed, hoped, and tried everything to conceive. After three failed attempts at IVF, they decided to leave their desires to fate, trusting that God would bless them when the time was right. Despite their sorrow, they continued to find joy in each other and in life, believing their miracle baby would come someday. One day, Rebecca received an invitation to a school reunion. She hadn't seen her old classmate in years and decided to attend with Benjamin. On the day of the event, the couple dressed elegantly, their presence screaming wealth and success. At the reunion, Rebecca reconnected with her childhood best friend Abigail. They had fallen out years ago, but this reunion felt like an opportunity to mend old wounds. Rebecca introduced Benjamin to Abigail. They all laughed and reminisced. While the two women were rekindling their friendship, Rebecca excused herself to visit the restroom. On her way, she ran into Joshua. Joshua was her crush and lover back in secondary school until they graduated and went their separate ways. Seeing him again after so many years left Rebecca speechless. "Hi, Joshua," she finally managed to say. "Hi, Becca," he replied with a warm smile. They talked briefly, catching up on each other's lives. Rebecca did mention to him that she's married. You could see a little disappointment on Joshua's face. But was he expecting her to be single after so many years? She wondered. Before parting, they exchanged contacts and promised to stay in touch. That night, Rebecca couldn't stop thinking about Joshua. Memories and feelings she thought were long buried resurfaced. She immediately messaged him saying how nice it was to see him again and suggested they meet up to talk more. Soon they met again and their conversation grew deeper. Joshua told Rebecca how he lost his wife during childbirth 7 years ago and that the child is with his mother, and also that he is a struggling engineer who builds mansions for people like Becca but only owns a two-bedroom bungalow. Becca interrupted him by telling him how she and her husband had nothing when they met and how she sacrificed a lot to get to where they are now. She even mentioned how in the past they would take out loans and borrow from friends until their efforts and hard work started paying off, and she encouraged him to keep pushing hard and that breakthrough is around the corner. She promised to support him in any way she can. After the meeting, Becca confirms that she was indeed still in love with Joshua. She couldn't control her feelings, but the only problem is that she's married and she loves her husband dearly. She thought to herself, how can one love two men at the same time? She became confused and needed to talk to someone. Then she thought of telling Abigail everything. After all, they are back to being friends. Abigail came to town for work assignments. Since they don't live in the same city, Becca had already suggested she stays with them for the period of her stay. Rebecca brought her home from the airport and she was left astonished at the sight of their mansion and how rich they are. Things were going smoothly even as they are hosting Abigail. They had time to talk about the years they missed out and started bonding well again. Rebecca opened up about her feelings for Joshua and how she can't get him out of her mind, but yet loves her husband dearly, and how she cannot cheat on him. That moment, Abigail advised her to cut all ties with Joshua to protect her marriage. Rebecca agreed, but deep inside she struggled. After living with them for a while, Abigail, however, began to get jealous of Rebecca. Seeing how Benjamin showers her with love and exotic gifts, she began looking for ways to seduce him. One day, Abigail met Becca in the living room and decided to gist with her. Abigail then asked about Joshua and if Becca still thinks of him. Becca confirmed to Abigail that she still loves Joshua but decided to stay away from him so she won't ruin her marriage because she also loves her husband. But this time around, Abigail suggested to Becca to sleep with him, even if it is just once, to find out if it was just fantasy or true love. Becca did not agree to it, but Abigail convinced her and she decided to give it a try. She met with Joshua later that week in his house. They talked about past memories while having drinks and in the heat of the moment started kissing passionately. But Rebecca got a call from her husband and left immediately. When she got home, she narrated all that went down to Abigail, especially the kiss. She explained how she enjoyed every moment with a smile on her face, but she was worried her husband is going to find out. Abigail assured her she won't tell. While they were talking, Becca got a text from Joshua to meet. Abigail encouraged her to go and have fun. The next day, Abigail dropped off Becca at Joshua's house. After some time, Benjamin returned home from work. He decided to come home early to rest, but met his wife's absence. While Benjamin was waiting for his wife to return, Abigail approached him and tried to seduce him, but he rejected and mentioned to her that he loves his wife and won't cheat on her. Abigail became angry and decided to tell Benjamin everything happening between Joshua and Becca. When Benjamin did not believe her, she showed him a recording on her phone. It so happened that Abigail recorded Becca when she was describing the kiss between her and Joshua the previous day. Benjamin couldn't believe what he had. She even told him that Becca had gone to sleep with Joshua that day and asked him to stay by the window so he could see Joshua dropping off Becca. But she also begged him not to let Becca know she told him anything as it would destroy their friendship. Later that evening, Joshua dropped off Becca at home. They hugged tightly while saying their goodbyes, not knowing Benjamin was watching them. Benjamin pretended to be asleep when his wife came in. She was surprised to see her husband back earlier than usual. She kissed him and went straight to have a shower. The next morning, she woke up to find her husband left for work without letting her know, which is unusual of him. She wondered if her husband found out about her and Joshua. She became worried and decided to speak to Abigail about it. Abigail assured her that everything was fine. On a weekend, Rebecca got a call her mother was sick. She decided to go spend the weekend with her and asked Abigail to take care of the house while she was away. Benjamin came back a bit drunk that night. He has not been himself since he found out about his wife's affair with Joshua. He found Abigail in the living room waiting for him, dressed all sexy. He couldn't resist her, but he was worried someone would see them. She assured him they are the only ones at home as she had given the workers the weekend off. They ended up having sex in the couple's bedroom. The next morning, Becca returned home unannounced. As opposed to staying for the whole weekend, she decided to come back because she was worried. Her husband wasn't picking her calls, neither her friend. But she met the shock of her life. She found her friend and her husband on her matrimonial bed. Her shout woke them up. They were shocked to see her. Abigail quickly ran out of the room while Benjamin lay on the bed without any regret or remorse. Becca ran after Abigail to confront her. "How could you betray me like this? I let you in and you stabbed me the second time." Becca didn't allow Abigail to say a word and asked her to leave her house immediately. Becca decided to confront Benjamin about what happened, and then he opened up to her that he knew about everything happening between her and Joshua. Becca couldn't understand why Abigail betrayed her like this. She was filled with regret and felt so stupid for trusting Abigail after she betrayed her back in secondary school by setting her up and getting her molested. But it was a long time ago, and she thought with time and age people change, not with Abigail. She opened up to her husband. She confessed that she had a crush on Joshua and that they have kissed, but they never had sex. Benjamin quickly told her he saw everything that transpired between her and Joshua that evening, but Becca insisted they never had sex. Though she admitted she was wrong by kissing him, but also explained that on that day Joshua called her to cut off the friendship between them because he doesn't want her to make the mistake of ruining her marriage. They both agreed to stay away from each other because she loves her husband. Becca was willing to fight for their marriage, so she suggested they forgive each other and seek counsel to help them heal. Benjamin agreed. Despite weeks of attending therapy, things were not getting better between them because Benjamin is finding it difficult to believe his wife. He kept his distance from his wife. He keeps late nights and sometimes he doesn't return home. But Becca never complained. She was willing to wait for him to heal. One day he came home with a divorce paper, urging Becca to sign them because he was done with the marriage. Becca was shocked to receive the news. She tried everything to keep her marriage, but it didn't work out because Benjamin had made up his mind. They went ahead with the divorce. Becca didn't get much from the divorce because almost all they owned was in her husband's name. She didn't think they would ever divorce because they had special bond together. But there she was, divorced and almost left with nothing. Benjamin was only able to give her little out of all they acquired together because he was hurt. Becca decided to go to another country to heal. She stayed there for 2 years and decided to come back to start afresh. She started house hunting. On one of these days, she ran into Joshua yet again, who was recommended to show her an apartment. They were both amazed to meet each other again. Joshua didn't understand why Becca was looking for a house. She explained everything to him over lunch. Joshua felt guilty and sad, but Becca assured him it wasn't all his fault and that maybe it was meant to be that way. They agreed to be friends again. They supported each other as they built their individual career and business and were both thriving at it. Over time, they couldn't resist the love between them and decided to start a relationship. In less than a year, Joshua proposed. On the other side, Benjamin and Abigail got into a relationship after the divorce. They were having fun and traveling round the world. But soon after, Benjamin's empire began to crumble because he was unable to manage the business without Becca. That affected him badly, coupled with the fact that he thought he could not father a child, since Abigail could not get pregnant too. He started misbehaving and growing cold towards Abigail. He was almost losing it until he met Deja, a woman who looked just like Rebecca but younger. She was the one helping him heal and recover. One day, Abigail confronted him about Deja and they got into a heated argument. Benjamin accused Abigail of being a witch who came to destroy his life, and Abigail accused him of being impotent. That got him really mad that he hit her so hard and it affected her hearing. He ended things up with Abigail, sent her out of the house and pursued a relationship with Deja. A year later, Rebecca and Benjamin met by chance at a mall. Rebecca was with Joshua, their twin boys and his daughter from his late wife, while Benjamin was with his new wife Deja, who was expecting their first child. They exchanged polite greetings, finally letting go of the bitterness of the past. Though Benjamin was not as rich as he was when he was with Becca because of how he misused his wealth while he was with Abigail, but he was doing well for himself. While Becca and her husband were doing extremely well in their different career paths, they decided to bury the hatchet and let go of the past. But wait, where was Abigail in all of this? No one knows where she was and no one cares. Thank you for sticking with me this far. If you found this story interesting, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until I come your way next time. Bye.